So what are some of your memories, the biggest memories and the things that stand out about your dad and your mom?
He talked about being on Mars Hill where Paul preached, in Athens, and him just telling us stories, about where he had been. And then one time he came back, he goes, I bought a radio tower. Or he said, we bought a radio tower. He was all excited about that because he wanted to get the message of Jesus in every language. And that's just so many.
What do you remember, Johnny?
Memories.
Well, same memories. Plus, I remember him as being an innovator, someone who was always cooking up something new. You talked about all those businesses and everything, but even within the church thing, he, one of the first things we did with World Radio was he found that there were a bunch of radio stations, over 20 radio stations available in Brazil that could be bought. And that we could, all over South America, these things that we did. And so he came up with the idea of creating a little thin vinyl record to send out to churches so they could hear the story of what's going on in Brazil to help raise funds to buy those radio stations.
Janice, what particular personality trait about him do you remember? Because you were probably pretty young when they started.
Yeah, I was maybe 4 or 5. And I can remember back then we would always go to Lake Bruin. And we'd have the Smiths with us and others. And I can remember when they took the Telfords, they took that picture of the 3 of them in that boat sitting out there when they were dreaming of World Radio.
That was so much fun because, we'd all be catching fish. Here our dads, all those men in that group, they were fishers of men even back then. That's what they were talking about. We were catching fish, get those trot lines done with Leon Telford, early in the morning, and then eating fish at night and sitting around those tables on those big porches down there at Lake Bruin. That was in Mississippi. I got on the Mississippi River is what it was.
He had a desire to see souls saved. And so what can we do to bring more people to heaven that we can be with eternity? Other thing was he grew up poor and he wanted to help poor people and people that were having problems around the world and disasters and famines and stuff like that. And the third was hospitality. It was just so important to he and Mom that they had missionaries in our home all the time, and they had people from church over. We never spent a Sunday without members of the church in the house with us.
Because over the years, we've loved having people in our home. And we've had CR in our home and just friends in our home and open up our home. Johnny, I couldn't tell you how many people that live with them. He opens up their home to people to come live with them and marry them back. All the people that's come in their home, even in Colorado, now that they've moved, they still have people in their home and just minister to so many people, and just the hospitality that we have. And I can see it in all our kids. It's even gone down to them.
A legacy. Beautiful.
The legacy.
Talking about legacy, you received a legacy from your dad, who his parents obviously were godly people. And you received things from your mom and dad that you've implemented into your family. What is it like now to look at your children and your grandchildren and see them following Jesus?
We've got 3 children, 14 great grandchildren.
The grandchildren.
14 grandchildren, 7 great grandchildren, and 2 in the hopper. So we'll have 2 more here soon. And all those families are very involved in church. They're all believers, and they're all generous. And that legacy, I'm confident, is living on in the next 2 or 3 generations that I can see now, are living in ways that would make our parents proud.
Our kids have seen us grow up ministering to people who are hurting to find healing. And I see them doing the same thing with people. Our son-in-law, started the carpenter shed for young men, and that's such a blessing. And so we see them carrying on the legacy too.
Well, Janice,
Yeah,
y'all are
that's awesome.
heavily involved in Celebrate Recovery here at Whites
Yeah.
Ferry Road.
I was
And
going to say, David got involved, and he says he's the old white-haired man there. But
well, he is.
he said, I just go hug everybody, and he loves it. He loves helping people. He gets calls all the time, but he takes their calls. They'll come by our store, and he'll talk to them, if they need talking to or whatever. But our kids see that, and I think John David and Jenna both, it's in their DNA.
Well,
They've seen.
John David is telling people about Jesus almost every day when he's on the
That's right.
podcast,
Oh,
and
that's
right.
Jenna's telling them every day as a teacher and
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
out at OCS. So yeah, all of you've got to be incredibly proud of your kids and grandkids. And so, well, I think in terms of your lives, y'all will be welcome with well done, good and faithful servants. And as parents, it's I wouldn't say it's a heavy burden, but is a joyful and continuous burden to work with your children and your grandchildren